So the first organisation that we will be introducing today is the Australian American Fulbright Commission, which offers a range of awards for Australians to undertake postgraduate study in the US. And speaking to us first is Tara Whitfield, who will be joining us online. And she is the Partnerships and Program Manager for the Fulbright Scholarships Australia. Tara has a long history with the Fulbright Commission and in her current role has oversight over the scholarships programs, partnerships, events, and fundraising activities. She holds several degrees and diplomas in social impact, assessment and development, management and leadership, and is currently undertaking a Master of Business. So Tara will tell us all about the Fulbright scholarships, and then following her presentation, we will hear from one of our past Fulbright scholars, Associate Professor Stephanie Reuter-Lang, who is in the room with us today. Stephanie is a research fellow in UniSA Clinical and Health Sciences, where she focuses on using pharmacological principles to inform the optimal use of medicines. She works across the pharmaceutical industry with regulatory agencies, clinicians and pharmacists to improve the use of medicines for the better management of patients. So without further ado, I will allow Tara Whitfield to speak.
Great, thank you so much. Thank you for that very generous introduction. I'm just going to, I can't share my screen. It seems to be disabled for me to be able to do that. So I'll just wait for a note that I should be able to do that, and I'll just start to dive in a little bit about the Fulbright program, just for anyone who hasn't heard of the program before. So the Australian American Fulbright Commission is a part of a larger Fulbright program that's run in over 160 different countries, and each country runs an exchange program specifically with the United States. So if you're looking for a study or research opportunity specifically for the US, then hopefully Fulbright might be the right opportunity for you. Our Australian program has been running for 75 years, and in that time we've sent and received well over 5,500 recipients of awards, so Americans coming to Australia, but also sending out Australians to the US all over the country. So our program was established post-World War II with the idea from Senator Fulbright, who you might see up on your screen shortly. I'll attempt to share my screen in just a second. But he had this quite unique idea after World War II that what if we took all of the stuff, that's left after World War II and sell that off, everything that's left over, and take any funds that we're able to put together, and let's create a scholarship exchange program. And the idea or the hope of this program is if we just spent some time together, if countries just really connected with each other and understood each other better face to face, person to person, then hopefully things like World War II would not need to happen again. So it's really a soft power program. It's designed around ideals about diplomacy and ambassadorial skills. And I tell you that as it will come up with any program that you hear about today, to definitely understand the history and the purpose of the program so that you can speak to that a little bit in terms of your applications for the program. So forgive me, I'm just going to attempt to share my screen. Great, it's working. I'm hoping that you can see this, but I'm sure someone will tell me if you can see something weird on my screen or if you can't see it at all. Great, thank you, Laura, for your thumbs up. So I'm just going to skip past this slide. So the Fulbright Scholarship Program, we offer a range of different scholarships across a career trajectory. So I'm going to focus on postgraduate scholarships today, but we're also open to a range of other categories like postdoctoral, and also have opportunities for academics and professionals. And so depending on which category you fall into, the amount of the scholarship varies. So I'm happy to take emails later if you want to check specific things. But the idea of a Fulbright program is to offer you a living stipend so that when you're in the United States, you can, do a little bit of travel. You can afford more than just your ramen noodles, but so you can live in the US and get around and do all of those sorts of things. We also cover international airfares to and from the US. For those who are looking at potentially doing a degree program, whether that's a master's program or a PhD program, all of our scholarships offer some sort of tuition funding. Some are full tuition and some are a partial tuition allowance. Again, for degree seeking students, something unique about our program is you do not need to have secured admission at a US institution at the time of application, because we work with a team in the US, we call them placement services, but their entire job is to help you with your college applications, to help you secure placement post the Fulbright application process. We also offer funding for dependents if you're traveling with a spouse or with kids, and some money set aside to help you with setup costs as well. All of our recipients also have a baseline health and accident insurance coverage, which is called ASPE. And we sponsor visas. We help you with all your questions. Where you have a full team that's based out of Canberra to help you through the process. And also, because the program is also in the US, you also have an in-country team for when you're on program to offer any support that you need. And of course, something great about the Fulbright program is it has a huge alumni network. I mentioned 5,500 coming through the Australian office alone, but we're in 160 different countries. So I'm sure you can imagine just the sheer number of people who have received a Fulbright scholarship over its long history. So this is just to give you a bit of a sense of what our program offers. Of course, again, I'm really going to focus on postgraduate scholarships here, but every year we offer up to 100 scholarships across these different categories. So please keep in mind if you're someone, that just as was discussed at the start, that you might want to keep Fulbright in mind for when you're at the postdoctoral stage or for later in your career. Just keep in mind that Fulbright is certainly open to people across their career stages. We also don't have specific disciplines, so we're open to all fields of study and all disciplines, all academic levels as well. So I'm going to focus a little bit here on this page here, which just is to give you a bit of an idea of what we offer in our postgraduate category. And just to explain what we mean by postgraduate, this could mean it's you if you fall into a number of different categories. So it could be you if you are currently enrolled in an Australian PhD program, but you'd like to go to the US and conduct a period of research that's related to your Australian program. So if you wanted to do research as part of a PhD, Fulbright can certainly help with that. We consider under the postgraduate category, if you were seeking to complete a full US master's program, and we also have scholarships open for full US PhD programs. So if you fall into any one of those categories, then definitely keep Fulbright in mind, again, if you're interested in the United States. This is just to give you a sense of the different types of scholarships that we have. The thing with a Fulbright application is we give you a checklist and you tick as many boxes of these particular scholarships as you're eligible for. So we hope that you'll tick many so that we can consider you across a number of different awards. And under each of these categories, there are multiple available. So we offer anywhere up to 50 postgraduate scholarships a year. So there's a large number available across those categories. And it just means that there are multiple opportunities that are just listed here on the screen that you could keep in mind. So my best tip is to have a look at this, yes, but also jump on the website, read about every scholarship. And if you can tick the box in the application process, certainly do so. We love being able to consider you for as many different scholarships as possible. And something important to note where we talk here on this bottom point about Fulbright state and territory scholarships, there is a Fulbright South Australia scholarship, so one that's designed to offer a research or study opportunity for someone from South Australia. So it's just an easy box that you can tick as part of the application process. I'm not going to spend any time on the next couple of slides, but just to give you a bit of a picture that if you are looking at postdoctoral opportunities, we have a large number of postdoc scholarships available. And then as you get into, for those of you looking to get into academia, or just those who are looking at professional opportunities, there are a large number of scholarships available in those categories as well. So just file that information away. If not relevant today, maybe it might be a nice seed for in the future. One scholarship I just want to point out, just if you are filling in that checklist or looking at different options, are our Fulbright Future scholarships. And I highlight these because when I talked about scholarships that offer full tuition funding, that's our Fulbright Future Scholarship. So if you're looking at a US PhD program or a full master's program in the US, definitely have a look at the Fulbright Future Scholarships program, just because it covers all costs and all tuition funding. So just one to make sure that you take a look at if you're having a look at our website. But what does the application even look like? So I'm just going to run through a couple of the components of what an application for a Fulbright scholarship would be. So it's an online system where you fill in a lot of baseline information, and then you have to attach a range of different documentation to that application. One is a project proposal. So you're telling us what it is that you want to do, what it is that you want to achieve. It might look a little bit different if you're applying for a degree, because you're talking about, why it is that you want to do this degree, why the US, why the types of institutions that you'd be interested in, and how you're hoping that completing that degree will fit into your career trajectory. If you're completing this application as a researcher, of course, you need to get a little bit more into the research and what the research is and how it's relevant to the discipline, and what your objectives are, and all of those different bits and pieces. We also ask that you attach a personal statement, which is always the hardest part, I think, of an application to write. So you get a couple of pages to tell us who you are outside of your project statement. And this is where I'll point back to Fulbright's history about being an ambassadorial program, where we're really trying to understand you outside of the project that you're hoping to achieve. So in this, you might talk about why it is that you're interested in the field, some key experiences from your life, whatever it is. You might tell us about your hobbies, just something to give us some insight in who you are on the page. You also complete our referee section, where you just add in the names and email addresses of up to 3 references, and then the system will send them off a form that they can complete, and they can just attach a reference letter there for you. You'll need copies of your academic transcripts to date. You'll need a CV, the checklist I talked about, where you tick off which scholarships that you would be interested in being considered for. Some of our scholarships ask for a specific impact statement to talk a little bit about the impact for you, the impact for your field, and also, because we're a bilateral program, how you see that your project could help better relations between Australia and the US, which could be through building connections between institutions, or from your relationships built, or developing new research together, whatever it might be. And I skipped over this just because I wanted to come to it last, but you'll see that 4th point there, which is a letter of invitation. If you are someone who wanted to complete research in the US as part of your Australian PhD program, you need a set host who's issued you with a letter to include as part of your application that just simply says that should your application for a Fulbright scholarship be successful, that they would be happy to host you. If you are interested in doing a degree, you do not need that. You don't need any letter. You don't need to have applied for any institutions. You don't need any of those details. So research, you do need somewhere to be hosted and some information, but degree, you don't need that at all. And it mentions there that as part of the application, of course, you submit this paper application, and then we also have an interview process, but I'll come to the timeline shortly. Just some baseline eligibility and also selection criteria. If you were going to screenshot anything, it would be that selection criteria, but I'll just cover the eligibility first. Our program is only open to Australian citizens. Dual citizenship with any other country that's not the US is totally fine. But if you are a dual citizen with the United States, so Australian US, unfortunately, you're not eligible to apply for a Fulbright program. And unfortunately, we cannot receive applications from permanent residents. As a baseline, you need to have an undergraduate degree. However, if you're sitting in the room and you're in your last, you're in about your last year of your undergraduate program, you can apply. I'll give you an email address so that you can follow up with me a bit later, but we just need a couple of extra things attached to your application that will just show your anticipated graduation date. No age limit, and open to any field and discipline, and of course, any host institution as well. And that's mostly for our researchers. So it doesn't need to be an academic institution if your research would be better served at a professional, government, or nonprofit type organization instead. So selection criteria, the important part, what do we look for? Each of these 4 are weighted equally. So first we look at your academic professional excellence. And I don't want anyone in the room to start feeling a bit imposter syndrome-y about words like excellence or prestigious. We're not looking for, Fulbright's not looking for perfection. If you do have straight high distinctions and you've published 1,000 research papers and you have a Nobel Prize, of course, we'd love to receive an application from you. But if you have good grades, good academic standing, and you've been committed to your project and you know what it is that you want to do and why, that's also the type of application that we're looking for. So yes, we look at your transcripts, we look at your project proposal, we look at your CV, but there isn't a specific type of candidate with the exact criteria that we're looking for. We just want to make sure that we're setting you up for success if we select you to go to the US to complete a research project or a degree. I've mentioned ambassadorial skills, so that's where that personal statement comes in really handy. So just getting a sense of who you are and to see if you would be happy to be an ambassador for Fulbright, yes, but also for Australia and also for your home institution. So if you'd be happy to represent Adelaide. And again, there is no specific type of ambassador. Not everyone is an extrovert. Not everyone will do that in the same way, but we're just looking for people who'd be happy to connect with others, to get outside of the office or the lab, and really want to get, immersed in US culture as well. The relevance of the proposed program, this is something you'd answer in your project statement. So why the US as opposed to somewhere else? Why your particular host institution? What's the relevance to the discipline? So sort of answering that why question, keeping in mind that some of the people who might be reviewing your application may not be from your field of study. So just really important to think, if I was someone who didn't do what I did all day, does this make sense from the why? And also why Fulbright is also a really nice one to answer in an application as well. And of course, we look at your potential outcomes or impacts from your perspective. So what would the outcome or the impact potentially be for you, for your field, for your career trajectory, but also again, for that US-Australian relationship. Now I'm conscious of time, so I'm going to move quickly through these last little bits. But just in terms of the timelines, the applications are open now. They've been open since the beginning of the year and they close on the 5th of July. So certainly still enough time to submit an application, but would definitely recommend starting to have a look at that as quickly as you can. Once the applications close, we go through a bit of a paper-based review process, and then we work with a range of different selection panels outside the organisation to shortlist and then to do interviews, which are both in person and online. And then all applicants will receive notification on the outcome of their application by the end of the year. And then successful applicants can commence their programs from August 2024 all the way up until May of 2025. For more information, of course, the best place to start is always the website. So fulbright.org.au is just sitting there on the screen. There is a longer version of this webinar, but there's also FAQs. There's alumni profiles if you wanted to get a sense of who else might have been successful or someone else that might be in a similar area, a similar academic area as you that you might want to connect with. We also have campus advisors, so if you want to talk to an alumnus or ask some questions, get some feedback on your project proposal, there's a number of our alum who have volunteered for that and their details are on the website. There are application instructions, including the link to the application site and all of those bits and pieces. They're all on the website. And then that email address there, fulbright@fulbright.org.au, is the best way to contact the team, just because some of us, including myself, work remotely. So just send through an email if you get stuck or if you have any questions. And the office hours are just listed there as well, noting that they are Canberra hours as well. Our socials are also just there on the right if that might be something of interest as well. But I think that's mostly it. But all the best. Please keep Fulbright in mind. Please reach out to us if this is something that you might be interested in. And please put your application in for one or many of these schemes, because I've never met someone who was successful for a scholarship opportunity who was just certain that they were going to get it. So even if you're questioning yourself, give it a go, ask the questions, throw your hat in the ring. And thank you so much.